Good morning and welcome to my kitchen. This week we have got a special episode. We're celebrating Canada Day and we're going to be using some beautiful maple syrup for a delicious roulade with a maple syrup cream and maple syrup caramelized walnuts. It's going to be a good one. Okay, so time to make something using, let's be honest, Canada maple syrup. The two go hand in hand. They're iconically recognizable together. So we thought we'd develop a really nice recipe. I've worked with St. Lawrence Gold quite a few times on some recipe development, so I knew this was the maple syrup to use for this recipe. And then I thought, well, do you know what? Everyone needs to know how to make a really good roulade, or in the north of England, we call it a Swiss roll, don't we, Emily? It's not a roulade, that's the posh. But we'll go in with some nice brown sugar, so we get lots of nice caramel flavours. Then we want 4 large free-range eggs at room temperature, okay? When you use eggs at room temperature, they are much more elasticy and they will open up much more and whisk up to more volume, which is what we want, really. Right, just wash my hands. So we've got our 4 large eggs in there and our sugar straight in and whisk until really light and fluffy. Right, there we go. So really light and fluffy and aerated, which is exactly what we want. Now this cake recipe is actually a fatless sponge. So it's kind of based a little bit around a Genoese sponge. So it's all about now preserving that air. So we've got a little bit of vanilla to go in. And then a little bit of cinnamon, just for a little sort of bit of depth really in complexity. Okay, and then I've got 100 grams of flour and let me just double check. 1 teaspoon of baking powder, just like to check, double check my recipes. There we go. Now let's get a sieve. Right, got to work quite quickly now. So we've got our plain flour and our baking powder in there. Let's sieve that in. Just get extra air in there. Okay, I'm not going to stir that yet. 1 minute. Now I've got some baking parchment here and I've actually just rubbed some melted butter on there, some margarine. I'm just going to grab a little icing sugar and this kind of helps make sure it comes off easily once we've baked it, okay? So it's just like a little insurance policy. So that icing sugar and butter will sit between the cake and the parchment paper and just give us that guarantee that it will come off easily, because everyone's baking paper is slightly different. So now we fold, okay? So turn the bowl one way and the mixture the other way, okay? You just want to keep all that air in as best you can. You just fold it like that, then you can scrape the bowl down the bottom and then lift it up, okay? And then you'll see any pockets of flour that have dropped in there. There we go. Did you make a roulade, Emma?
I've always been too scared.
Have you?
Yeah.
It's not that difficult though, not now.
The last time I made it was at school, so I haven't.
Was it a bit of a stinker?
Yeah, it was more of a rectangle than it was like.
Oh. But you can see how light this is, yeah? Pour it straight in and don't touch it. Don't be tempted to fiddle with it yet. All right? I think a roulade, once you've nailed it, you'll love it.
Yeah.
And you'll
I
use
love the taste of them.
Yeah. And they're a great thing to enjoy through the seasons. You know, when your raspberries and your black currants are delicious.
Flavours as and when, can't you?
Yeah, in with the jam. all that good stuff. Right, so now take the back of your spoon and just push it, all right? Gently, the surface of the cake. Don't touch the base, all right? Just push it to the corners, really gently. That's it. And then what I might do is I might just let that find its way to the bottom without really me touching it. There we go. Just push that into the corners. And there you go, it is ready for the oven. Right. So I've got my oven on fan, 160 degrees. It's going to take between 10 to 12 minutes to cook. Then we need to roll it. Right, roulade is almost cooked. Let me just check to make sure. Little press down. Yes, we are good. Okay, so turn the oven off. It's been a busy oven day today. Right, tea towel. Okay, is what we need. And then I'm just going to get a knife. So there's a few little things you just need to make sure. In fact, I'm not going to use a knife. I'm going to use my dough scraper. So I'm just going to run it down the sides. Now is the time to make sure everything's going to work. Yeah, because if I turn this upside down and it's stuck, we're in trouble. There's nothing I can do. Okay, so.
You can smell the syrup. Smell that, right?
It's the muscovado sugars and all that sort of stuff. So what we're going to do is very simply turn her over. Okay, and then we just carefully peel, and because we used the icing sugar.
Look at that.
Look at that, eh? Nice. Let's get our maple syrup. We've got an opportunity to get some little bits of flavour in there. So let's just do some little dots. We're going to use it again in a minute. And then we begin to roll, okay? So I'm just going to turn my tea towel. I've got a clean tea towel. I've folded over a little bit there because what you want is a little indentation to get yourself going. So hold each end tight and then roll it, okay? Like so. You need to do this while it's warm so that it rolls without cracking, okay? So we're going to take that, put it to one side and let it cool down. While it does that, let's get our caramelized walnuts on. So, got some beautiful walnuts in there. A little tiny bit of olive oil, not a lot. Just enough to kind of get everything moving around a little bit. And just before the pan gets hot, just move them about. Right, there we go. Okay. Walnuts go really nutty and crunchy when you roast them, and they become more nutty. And then when we add some beautiful St. Lawrence Gold maple syrup, they're going to be sweet and nutty, and then a little bit of sea salt, and then you've got sweet, you've got salty, you've got nutty, you've got amazing walnuts, okay? So, get them toasting. Lovely. Okay. So as the walnuts just start to heat up, and I can just start to see the heat coming off the pan, let's add our maple syrup in. And we're going to boil them down. So any added moisture will evaporate and we get stickier and sweeter and more delicious. A little bit of sea salt. Think salted caramel. It just kind of brings the flavour out even more. Okay? So we just boil that lovely maple syrup down just for a couple of minutes, just until it becomes like a really more intense syrup. So not a pouring syrup, a sticky. And then we're ready. You could do this with almonds, cashews, pistachios, whatever you like. Any nut that you buy in the shop, roast them. They become nuttier, they become more delicious, I think. And they're really good for you as well. I mean, the walnuts work really well with maple syrup. So, you know, you take St. Lawrence Gold with a walnut, Beautiful. Great combination. Right, and that little bit of saltiness will work well. I would recommend that you make extra because they are so Moorish. Get all that last little bit of maple syrup in there.
Nice.
And there we go. You could even add, like, make extra and maybe add a few chili flakes and have them as a bit of a sort of a nibble with a glass of wine before dinner one night. Do you want to try one of these, Emily? There you go. Have a try that. It should be crunchy, nutty, sweet, but not so sweet because of the salt, just that combination. You imagine that with our roulade filled with maple syrup cream through the middle. It's going to be delish. Okay, roulade has sat in the fridge and cooled down. And as it's cooled, it means it's sort of held its shape, which makes for a much better roulade at the end, okay? So now all we need to do is a little gentle unravel. This is the jeopardy of it all. There we go, look at that, lovely. Right, let's get our cream in. And then we're gonna drizzle some of that lovely maple syrup on top because I want like little reservoirs and little wells of it all. So, on with the cream. Emily's making good noises. My daughter will like this.
Really good.
Yeah. Into that crease there. Right, and so we don't lose the flavour of our syrup, I'm going to drizzle it like so.
Ooh.
There we go.
Nice.
Now we roll. Okay. So lift the cloth and let it naturally roll over, as Beethoven once said. Right, there we
I don't know how
go.
many people will get that.
Wow. Not many people get my jokes, full stop.
Well, that's very true.
Right. There is our rather lovely roulade. Okay, and then what I think we need to do is put a little bit of cream down the middle, and that is going to help our walnuts stick. Now we've got our beautiful St. Lawrence Gold maple syrup glazed walnuts with sea salt. So they're going to be extra nutty, they're going to be sweet, salty, they are perfect. They're going to be crunchy, and they're just going to be a lovely contrast to that lovely, delicious light sponge and the maple syrup cream in the middle. There's just a lot going on with this, isn't there?
Oh. Yeah, it's all good though.
It's all good, this. This is worthy of Canada Day, I think.
Oh, it looks delish.
There we go. Right, let me just grab a knife. Nice sharp knife. And we'll just trim the end there, just so it's nice and tidy. And get rid of that. Put that to one side. That won't go to waste, don't you worry. There we go. Now that is how to make my delicious St. Lawrence Gold maple syrup roulade with candied walnuts. If you want the recipe, go to petersidwell.com or scan the QR code along the bottom. It'll take you straight to my website and you can get it there. Thank you very much for watching, and happy Canada Day.